Mendez, and I am a mother of a family member who is incarcerated. My son, Ronald Mendez, is incarcerated for being charged for the murder of his father and his uncle.
My name is Bertha Fonseca. I live in West Covina, and my connection with mental illness is personal. I have a nephew that is schizophrenic, and he's at Twin Towers. He's been there going on 5 years due to an arrest of, do you want to hear why?
Yes.
He was there, and he's been accused of killing his two uncles, my brothers. At the time when it happened, it caused division, caused anger, because we were on both sides. We lost our brothers, myself, and then my nephew lost his dad and his uncle. His brother and sister lost their dad, and one of his brothers still doesn't speak to him.
And mental illness is truly a brain dysfunction. I think just like anything in our body that can malfunction, our brain malfunctions too. It's not that it's a genetic thing. It can be or an environment thing. There's just so many causes, I think, but it is a dysfunction of the brain.
Could have been me that was a schizophrenic. People that are mentally ill, like they don't choose to be. The guards there don't know. They don't understand. They don't recognize. They're not educated at all.
And sometimes they just don't care.
That's true. But the majority of guards that are hired at the prisons, and I'm not putting them down. It's a hard job to do, but they only have a high school degree. They're not educated in drug abuse, mental illness, schizophrenia. I mean, there's so much that's going on. But if he was to go to Patton, thank God, at least there they have the CNAs and the therapists, and these people are specifically taught to treat mental illness. So he will get the treatment that he needs.
For one, he's a police officer. He is not a medical doctor. So he does not know the capacity of the severity of this person's health condition. He is mentally unstable, but the officer is going based on his role as a police officer and detaining that individual. He doesn't know the history of paranoia, of schizophrenia that he may have had prior to the incident.
But for the majority of the time, they keep him in a cell, pretty much isolated. And I've asked him, I said, Ronald, do they let you go into this one area where if they have like little holes in the wall where you could kind of get some fresh air? And he says, well, no, I think only once out of 4 years did he tell me that they let him go in there and run around and play basketball. But other than that, he's just like a caged animal in a single little room with just, the bed and a toilet and a sink. And that's how many of the men are, What does that do for their health, for their mental illness?
I would consider him the type of person that got lost in the cracks of the system, because he was taken for help. 2 weeks before the incident, he was taken. And my brother at the time, thank God, when he was alive, him and his wife told him, my son needs help, this and this and this and this. They released him in 12 hours instead of putting him in a hospital, instead of putting him someplace where he needed help. And that's just one out of many incidents that the system, is not helping. It's not helping. And he is one of millions of cases within the prison system.
But to send him to a facility where he's in general population and he's not getting treated, that's a disaster waiting to happen. Either by him or by somebody else because of his behavior. There's not enough facilities to put them in. Now they're, putting them in jail, not getting the right treatment, and being taken advantage of.
By the inmates, by the guards, by the system. They're literally being victimized. Yes, he was abused. He was beaten at one time, and he was taken to the hospital. We went to visit him, my sister-in-law, and nobody knew where he was. And, oh no, he came out and he was bruised. And he said, well, they beat me up. And we don't know what is real to him and what isn't. Because, to him reality isn't reality like it is to us. But that's, that happens in all the prisons, and I've seen it. I've seen that, the abuse on inmates, and not just the mental, but you can imagine on the mental ones, because they cannot defend themselves. I don't think that you can imagine the pain. I mean, I'm just his aunt, his mother, the emotional drain on it.
The families who have a loved one in prison, we don't realize that they receive the same sentence that their loved one.